Picture this. It's a beautiful day, so you decide to take a walk at your local park. But when you arrive at the park, you notice something very strange. You realize that the ground is covered with litter, and there are no more trees. Scarcity of resources and endless litter could become a reality if we settle for living comfortably and opt out of recycling. Today, I would like to take some time to examine the necessity of recycling, as well as the importance of implementing or changing policies to increase the amount of residential and commercial recycling. Before I discuss what should be done to increase recycling, I'm going to portray why it's important. Although recycling has increased in popularity in the past few decades, it has been around since the 1800s. The article, Early Recycling Focused on Necessity, published in Waste and Recycling News, sheds light on the fact that America was an agricultural country, which made it very difficult for people to obtain certain manufactured goods. Due to this, people recognized the value in the labor and resources that went into the material items that they purchased. At that time, most everything was reused or repurposed until it couldn't be used anymore. The Industrial Revolution of America changed the values that people held, and society as a whole started to value convenience over conservation. The Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA for short, states that the benefits of recycling include reducing the amount of waste sent to landfills, conserving natural resources, preventing pollution, saving energy, supporting American manufacturing, and increasing economic security. At this time, some states have loose recycling laws regarding the disposal of specific materials. These states include California, Hawaii, Michigan, and Oregon, just to name a few. If one was found to not have properly disposed of recyclable items, they could be fined. I've included a map on my PowerPoint that defines these states that have these laws. They're highlighted in red. Indiana is one of these states, and they have laws regarding yard waste, tires, lead-acid batteries, mercury commodities, e-waste, and solid waste land disposal and processing facilities. Most of the highlighted states do not mandate residential recycling. At most, these states have a bottle bill, which requires deposits to be paid on beverages sold in recyclable cans and bottles. The refund value is usually around 5 to 10 cents, which can be enough of an incentive for people to recycle. According to the article, Recycling Needs to Be Made Easy, published in USA Today magazine, a poll revealed that 66% of Americans agree that they would not take the time to recycle a product if it was not easy or convenient to recycle. How many of you could say the same? Now, you may be asking yourself what can be done to increase recycling. For starters, people could limit the amount of wasteful packaging that they used. Opting to carry a refillable water bottle as opposed to purchasing plastic water bottles is a good place to start. Being conscientious about the amount of waste produced is the first step to making the change. The next step in the process would be enacting incentives for companies to develop packaging with increased sustainability and decreased waste in mind. Engaging brands and product designers so that they understand what is and is not recyclable could help encourage them to design accordingly. The last and most important step of this process would be developing a countrywide consistency for recycling measures. Proposing federal policies that require local governments to engage in recycling incentives would be a good place to start. In the article, A Better Bin, a campaign for strengthening residential recycling across the U.S., States News Service claims in order to do this, we would need cooperation from local communities. Local communities would need to work with the recycling industry to become familiar with the scope of materials in demand. They would also need to increase public education and awareness in order to improve household recycling efforts. This would include such defined guidelines on what can be recycled and how to recycle it, how to clean food containers, and the importance of keeping paper dry. Additionally, the community would need to invest capital in improving sorting facilities in order to minimize cross-contamination and enhance sorting and preparation shipments according to the market. Now, I'd like to take a minute to share some information that the EPA published in an article called Recycle on the Go, a Success Story, Recycling at Penn State's Beaver Stadium. During the 2009 study, Penn State estimated that about 50 to 100 tons of waste was produced per football game. Fees for garbage removal were around $70 per ton, while fees for recycling were only $15 per ton. Because of this, Penn State found that there was financial incentive to reduce the volume of garbage that they sent to local landfills. At Beaver Stadium, Penn State chose to offer several convenient locations for fans to recycle, including collection containers inside the stadium and outside in the parking lots and tailgate areas. This in turn led to a reduction of the hours of labor that were needed for cleanup And the startling fact is that the program reduced their cleanup costs by an average of 40% per game. Studies such as these show that recycling initiatives are not just great for the environment, but they're also beneficial for local communities. By reducing the amount of waste that one person creates, we are better able to preserve our natural resources. In addition, recycling helps stimulate the economy and provides jobs for numerous people. The EPA claims that in a single year, recycling accounts for 750,000 jobs, $36.6 billion in wages, and $6.7 billion in tax revenues. In USA Today's article, What Would Happen If Everyone Recycled?, it states that the benefits of recycling could save everyone money. They claim that if everyone in America recycled just one plastic bottle, that those materials could make more than 54 million t-shirts or about 6.5 million fleece jackets. Additionally, recycling one aluminum can could reduce greenhouse gas emissions equivalent to taking 6,750 passenger cars off the road. According to BeRecycle.org, about 1 billion pounds of aluminum ends up in a landfill each year. Did you know that that waste could power 1.5 million homes for an entire year? Opponents of the recycling movement claim that despite recycling efforts, there's still waste being generated. This is true. Waste is inevitable. However, every time you choose to recycle something, the amount of waste is lessened. According to the EPA, the top question regarding recycling is, what can I recycle? To answer this question, they've developed a top 10 in the bin list, which is the list of 10 items that are approved to go in the recycling bins that are collected by the city. Those are cardboard, paper, food boxes, mail, beverage and food cans, glass bottles, jars, jugs, and plastic bottles and caps. Potentially hazardous and specialty recycling cannot be put into these bins. Therefore, most communities have designated recycling collection areas. They have specific locations to drop off household hazardous waste, such as fluorescent light bulbs, glue, cleaning fluids, oil-based paints, and automobile fluids. Other collection areas for items such as electronics or plastic bags can commonly be found at grocery and retail outlets. Most things can be reused or recycled. Even food scraps and yard debris can be composted to enrich the soil quality in your own yard. Recycling is necessary in order to preserve our ecosystem and natural resources. Recycling reduces waste, conserves energy, and boosts our economy. There are not many effective policies regarding recycling at this time, but given the facts, our community could benefit from implementing better recycling strategies. Now that I've portrayed the necessity of recycling and the importance of policy change, I ask you, the Indiana General Assembly, what will you choose? Will you choose sustainability to better our lives for the future generations, or will you choose to do nothing while our resources and communities languish in waste?